I know what you're thinking. Did he fire 11 shots or did he fire 12? Well, to tell you the truth, in all the excitement, I kind of lost track myself. But being as this is the Ruger Carbine in .44 Remington Magnum, the most powerful handgun cartridge in the world in 1956, you have to ask yourself, wouldn't you love to have one of these little rifles? Hi, George here, and welcome to Tales from Target Suite, where I'll share my perspective on guns and shooting, and we'll spend some time at the range. And every now and then, we'll reconvene out in my shop back in Houston, or here at the farm in Louisiana, where I'll build some fun projects, and we'll share an adventure or two that'll make even a grown man smile. You know, if you've got a Ruger 1022, or a Ruger Precision Rifle, or a Ruger American, or a Model 77, or even a Ruger number 1, it all began right here with this guy, the Ruger Carbine. It was originally called the Deerstalker, but they had to give up that title because of a problem with a pre-existing rifle with shotgun with Ithaca. But it is one fine little rifle in .44 Remington Magnum, and I had my eye on this as a young guy because it was introduced in 1961, and they manufactured this all the way up until 1985. This particular one was made in 1972. And I traded with one of my subscribers for this, and I have loved it ever since. Now, we're going to take off this scope here in a few minutes and do some shooting with the iron sights. But first, I want to take it over to the chronograph and shoot some different loads through the chronograph with this guy, and we're going to compare it using my Winchester Model 1892 just to compare some velocities, because I don't know how much velocity we give up and there's two factors here. One is going to be the fact this is an 18.5-inch barrel, and also it is a gas-operated semi-auto rifle, and so there may be some energy loss there. And I don't know, maybe it's nothing. You guys with a lot more experience with these kinds of rifles will probably know better than me. But what a fine little rifle it is. And it's got an all-steel receiver with locking lugs on the bolt. It's just really beefed up. Mr. Bill Ruger really recognized early on that the .44 Remington Magnum would be a great package to go into a small carbine rifle like this one. And so he felt like he needed to beef it up quite a bit, and so this guy really reflects all of that engineering. But anyway, I'm going to get the scope taken off, and we're going to head over to the chronograph. We'll chronograph a couple of loads. It's not going to be a big deal. Maybe we'll shoot 2 rounds of each. And as a control, I'm going to shoot the same rounds through my 20-inch barreled Winchester Model 1892. So let's head over there and see what we find out. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to load up these are Remington 180 grains jacketed soft points. That's these right here. And then these are hand loads with a near maximum charge of W296 behind the Hornady XTP 240 grain hollow point. And so I'm going to load the jacketed soft points in the magazine first, and that means that we'll shoot the XTPs first. Follow my logic. Okay, jacketed soft points go in first. And it's a little bit of takes a little getting used to this loading gate. It's like loading my Model 12 shotguns, but you have to depress this button in order to release that. And so we just do like this, and they go in. Okay, jacketed soft points went in first. Now the Hornady XTP goes in. Safety on. Cycle around. So the first two shots will be Hornady XTPs. Second two shots will be the 108, that's the 240 grain XTPs. The second two will be the jacketed soft points from Remington, 180 grains. $17.72 for the hand loads. $17.97 for the second hand loads. Now we're shooting the 180 grain Remington jacketed soft points. $21.87. $21.79. Now, what I'd like to do now is to do the same thing I did here with the Ruger Carbine, and I want to load the same rounds in the same order in my Winchester Model 1892, and we'll see if there's a velocity difference that we can tell with just the two-shot recordings with each bullet. Okay, I've already got the two jacketed soft point, the Remington 180 grain jacketed soft points in there. Now I'm going to load the 240 grain hand loads with the Hornady XTP hollow point bullet. And did you notice anything new about my Winchester Model 1892? We may talk about that in a future video. Okay, that was 1833 with the hand loads. $18.52. Now these are the 180 grain Remington jacketed soft points. I got an error with that. We'll load up another round. $22.04. $22.25. So I haven't crunched the numbers yet, but it looks like there's a little bit of velocity difference between the 20-inch barrel model 1892, but is it is a velocity difference because of the 20-inch barrel, or is it because the Ruger Carbine is a semi-auto gas-operated rifle? We'll talk about that in just a minute. Oh, Ruger Carbine, ready, rugged, reliable. And you'll notice that in recent years, maybe recent decades, they dropped the ready part, and now it's just rugged, reliable Ruger firearms. But this was a special combination, I'm reading, of features that make the Ruger 44 Magnum Carbine the most important new hunting firearm in years. That's a pretty bold statement. There are other short guns, other light guns, other big bores. There are self-loaders, there are rifles that have mild recoil, but only the Ruger is all these things in one sleek, beautiful package. And you know, if you've watched many of my videos, you may remember I did a couple of videos on the best brush gun cartridge. And the intent of that video, those videos, was to talk about the best cartridge. But what a lot of the comments came back was talking about the best brush gun. And if you follow the typical definition of a brush gun, this guy fits all the bill for the best brush gun, because it is short, it's lightweight, it really swings fast, and it has a fairly potent cartridge in the 44 Magnum. And so this would have to be up there with the best brush guns. Maybe not as in power range, but certainly in handling. And so we've already taken the scope off, and I'm going to disassemble it a little bit. We're not going to do a full disassembly video here, but I do want to break it down and show you what it looks like on the inside, because there's some cleaning that you're going to want to do, and you'll have to take it down to do that. But first, I wanted to comment about the chronograph data and the velocities. The velocities in the gas-operated carbine here for the hand loads were about averaged 58 feet per second slower than the same cartridges in the Winchester Model 92. And if you'll remember, this one has the 18.5-inch barrel. It's and it's a little more detail while I'm here. 18.5-inch barrel, 4-round tubular magazine. So no, it does not hold 12 rounds. It holds 4 rounds, and so with one in the chamber, it's 5-shot. And so in no way does this qualify as a assault rifle, if you know what I mean. But anyway, it was about 58 feet per second slower with the hand loads, and with the Remington 180 grain jacketed soft points, it was 31 feet per second slower. And so that 31 feet per second number is only 1%, right at 1% difference in velocity. And the 58 was a little less than 3%, the 58 feet per second. So not much difference percentage-wise in velocities from the 18.5-inch gas-operated semi-automatic versus the 20-inch lever-action rifle. And I'll talk about, I'll say something more about that just in a minute once we get it taken apart. And speaking of factory loads, if you remember, the box of the Remington ammo, you can't see it here, well maybe you can, it advertises a muzzle velocity of 1,610 feet per second, and what we got was closer to 2,200 feet per second. So it was about 600 feet per second faster out of a carbine length barrel or a 20-inch, either an 18.5-inch carbine length or the 20-inch carbine of the 1892. And what else did I want to say? Oh yes, if you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and then if you click on that little bell, YouTube says you'll get notified every time I upload a new video, usually on Tuesday. And now, having gotten that out of the way, let me go ahead and take this thing down. I'll bring the camera in a little bit closer, and we'll talk some more about what this guy looks like on the inside. Okay, for disassembly, it's really pretty simple. First thing we have to do is we have to open and lock the bolt open. That serves two purposes. One, we can look in there and make sure that there's no round in the magazine or in the tube or in the chamber. And also, we cannot get the rifle disassembled any further than this without the bolt locked open. So with that open, in a safe condition, safety on, we're going to disassemble or loosen the barrel band screw and take it off. And it just slides right off. And then the rifle, barreled action, just comes right out of the stock. And here's a testimony to Mr. Ruger's ingenious design. Look at this hook right here, and here's a metal receiver that stays a part of the stock, and that hook just hooks right there and holds the back of the receiver down without any additional screws. Cool design. Cool design. So there it is. There's the gas-operated semi-automatic, the insides of the gas-operated semi-automatic Ruger carbine. Now what you can see right here is you can see this is the actual piston that drives the action open when it's being fired. And so it's a very short stroke piston. Very short stroke piston. And so my guess is that, and you guys may have a strong opinion about this, but the very volume of air that it takes to move that little bitty piston a very short amount of distance is so small in comparison to the overall muzzle blast, the entire volume of burned powder gases. And so I'm thinking that slight velocity change between the 18.5-inch semi-auto carbine and the 20-inch lever action, the velocity difference was almost entirely because of barrel length and not because of the gas-operated action. And for you guys that don't understand how the gas-operated action works, I've actually closed the receiver and closed the bolt. And so when you fire around here, of course, there's an incredible volume of hot gases that are pushing the bullet down the barrel. Once the bullet gets to about right here, there's actually a hole in the bottom of the barrel, and it allows gases to escape into this gas block right here. And the gases push on that piston that I just showed you, and it causes the entire slide to move in the rearward direction, just like this. And so just with that little bit of motion of the piston, it moves the bolt all the way to the rear. And so that's really not enough volume of gas right there to have a big impact on velocity. And I was going to take the trigger group out, but really that begs to be in a much more elaborate and longer video, because there's a lot of things that happen. And all you have to do is take out this pin right here, but when you take out that pin, then there's a lot of other things that happen. And then to get the bolt out of the receiver is even a little bit more complicated, and getting it back in even more than that. And so we're going to skip all of that. I just wanted to show you kind of how the gas-operated system works in the Ruger carbine. Now let's put it back together, and maybe we should do some more shooting. I've got 5 rounds loaded up for this guy, and we're going to try to hit some steel targets here. But after I took that scope off, I learned one thing about this Williams sight here, and it is adjusted as low as it will go, and we're still shooting about 10 inches high at 50 yards. And so I'm having a hard time putting shots on steel. But we're going to do the best we can, and then we're going to cut away to the pond, and we're going to have some reactive target fun. And I've got a different camera angle this time because Austin's here in town, here in the country, and he's going to break out his drone, and we're going to hover over top of the watermelon and see what everything looks like coming up at the watermelon. Should be fun. So, but let me see first of all if I can get 5 rounds on these targets. Well, 4 out of 5, I'll take it. And so let's break away to the pond. Okay, we kind of got our typical setup here, a little bit different fixture. And by the way, I'm going to build a fixture for work down here. But anyway, we've got our small watermelon, we've got a gallon jug, we've got a 2.5 gallon jug on line, turned this way, and a 2.5 gallon jug this way, and then we've got our bucket of sand. And gosh, we've got some space here that's unused. What could I put there? I know what. Gizmo car, these are for you. Now, Austin's going to get his drone set up and get it right overhead here, and we'll get to shoot. Okay, for this shot, for the whole shot, we're going to use the XTP hollow point bullets from Hornady. Are you serious? Wow. awesome. So there it is. Austin found it just laying in the grass. It went through one water jug and bounced off the first 2.5 gallon jug. And you know what, guys? We'll see you in the next video.